Dear students, we know that the IIR filter designing by indirect method have two implementation steps. First one, the design an analog prototype filter from the given specifications. And the second one is transform this analog filter into its digital counterpart using suitable transformation method. So to transform analog filter into digital form, there are the two transformation methods. One is impulse invariant transformation method and the other is a bilinear transformation method. Now we will study them one by one. So in this video, we will study the design of IIR filter using impulse invariant method. In impulse invariant method, IIR filter is designed such that the impulse response of digital filter is sampled version of impulse response of analog filter. And transfer function of any analog filter can be represented as sum of the terms contributed by its individual poles. For example, if the transfer function is expressed in terms of ratio of polynomials as ns divided by ds, and if ds is a quadratic equation in S, then it can be expressed by using partial fraction in terms of the coefficient divided by first pole term plus coefficient divided by the second pole term. So HS can be in general represented as summation of all its terms. And when we take the inverse Laplace transform of that, we can obtain the impulse response in continuous time domain expressed as sum of all its terms, where coefficient Ck is the same coefficient that you have in the numerator of the individual terms, and Tk are the pole locations. So if we take the sample of HAT at interval of capital T, then in this case its distal counterpart Hn can be obtained by putting T equal to Nt in the analog response HAT. It means what we are doing, we are taking the inverse Laplace transform of analog filter transfer function and get it impulse response by taking the inverse Laplace transform. Then we will do sampling and obtain distal impulse response of the filter. And after that, by taking Z transform, we are able to obtain the transfer function of the desired distal filter, that is Hz. So SEM is expressed mathematically here, and finally we obtain transfer function expressed mathematically here, and finally we will obtain transfer function expressed by the equation as given in the orange bracket. That is distal filter representation you have obtained from the analog transfer function as given in yellow bracket. So when we get the analog filter response from the given specification, we can directly transform it into digital filter response by replacing the denominator polynomial s minus pk to 1 minus e raised to the power pkt z inverse using this transformation method. So in this transformation, z equal to e raised to the power st means mapping of the point from S plane to Z plane is done by this transformation. So in the bilinear transformation, we use Z equal to e raised to power st as a transformation rule. If we put the value of Z, that is r e raised to power j omega, and value of S in this expression as sigma plus j capital omega. So when you equate the magnitude and phase part, you will obtain r equal to e raised to power sigma t, whereas small omega is equal to capital omega t. So from this particular point, we will see that if sigma equal to 0 means e raised to the power 0, e raised to the power 0 is equal to 1, means r equal to 1 in this case. So any value on the j omega axis in S plane represents sigma equal to 0 value, because sigma equal to 0 here. So in this case, when sigma equal to 0, if a pole is considered on j omega axis represented by 0 plus j omega, where sigma is 0 and j omega is an imaginary part of that, then it will be transformed, or it will be mapped on the z plane at a point r equal to 1, means a point that lie on the unity circle at an angle omega, satisfying this relationship, that will be capital omega t in this case, because capital omega is the imaginary part here. So this will be the mapping of this particular pole. Similarly, if there is a opposite pole lie at the location of 0 sigma value and minus j capital omega, so corresponding phase term, corresponding distal frequency for this will be minus capital omega t. So, but the radius will be unity. So on the unity radius circle, the pole location will be at minus capital omega t. So if both sigma and omega is 0, it will be located at the unity circle at 0 angle location, or means 0 distal frequency. So in this way, you are able to see how the S-plane points are being mapped on Z-plane point using the impulse invariant transformation method. And now, one more thing. When sigma is smaller than 0, it is a smaller quantity. In this case, r equal to e raised to the power sigma t certainly will be a value that will be less than unity, because if sigma is less than 0, it means it is a negative quantity, and in case of negative quantity, this value will be less than 1. So when sigma equal to 0 means sigma is less than 0, means it will lie on the left hand side of the S plane. First, if we fix the phase value omega, and there are the two poles, one is at two different value of the sigma, both values are less than 0, so means both sigma values are negative. So this value is higher negative than this one, so corresponding radius will be comparatively lesser than this one, but both have the same phase location, so that will be mapped on the same phase location but comparatively smaller radii of the circle. So this is the way we are able to see how the left hand side of the S plane is mapped, and here we are able to see that all S plane with negative real part mapped into the Z plane poles inside the unity circle, means the stable analog poles are mapped to stable distal poles. Because in the case of analog filter, the stability lies when the pole lie in the left hand side of the plane, and in the case of Z transform, we know that the stability lies when the poles lie inside the unity circle. So here we are able to say that the stable poles of analog filter after distalization will produce a filter having the stable poles in distal domain 2. Now, after that, if the value of sigma is greater than 0, so certainly the pole will lie in the right hand side of the S plane, and the same pole when we mapped onto the Z plane, that will be on the circle on the radii that will be of radius greater than unity. So in this case, we will see the mapping, but there is a disadvantage that the mapping from S plane to Z plane using using impulse invariant method is not one-to-one mapping, it is many-to-one mapping. So to illustrate this, I have taken two poles on S plane. One is represented by sigma plus j omega and other pole is represented by sigma plus j omega plus 2 pi by t. Means the phase location or the phase location in S plane is separated by 2 pi by t. So if S1 is a pole in analog domain, the corresponding Z location can be found out by using this mapping Z equal to e raised to the power st. So now you will put the value of S1t and you may obtain this expression. When you put the value of S2t, you may obtain the location of Z2, and here you will see after mathematical simplification, there will be one more additional term e raised to power j2 pi. So the value of e raised to power j2 pi will be 1. So you are getting the same pole location for Z2 as that of Z1. The meaning is that, or the conclusion is that, if the poles are separated in S plane by the phase 2 pi by t, so that they all will map at the same point onto the Z plane. So uh, here we are able to see that there are infinite number of S plane poles that map onto the same location in Z plane. They must have the same real part and imaginary part that differ by some integer multiplied by 2 pi by t. So means if all the poles that are separated at the interval of 2 pi by t and its integer multiple all those poles will lie on the same point on the z plane. So this type of mapping is a many to one mapping. Is many points are mapped onto the one point. So this is a very big disadvantage of impulse invariant method because it creates aliasing effect. So because of this aliasing effect, we can not able to design the high pass filter. Only the impulse invariant method is appropriate for the designing of low pass and band pass filter. So here we have to think the constraint of the impulse invariant method as well as the disadvantage of the impulse method. So finally, I will recap to all these steps to design digital filter using impulse invariant method. First, for the given specification, find the analog transfer function and then select the sampling rate for the digital filter and p samples per second is a sample rate here. So express the analog filter transfer function as a sum of the single pole filters like this and compute Z transform to digital filter using this formula. But always remain that they are the disadvantage of many to one mapping that create aliasing effect, and that's why the impulse invariant method can only be implemented for low pass and band pass filter and not suitable for high pass filter. After that, we come on to the few examples related to impulse invariant method. For example, in this case, you have to determine Hz. Hs is given, means analog transfer function is given. So what you have to do? you have to first break it into the single pole terms by using the partial fraction expansion, and after getting the single pole terms, you can express it in the form of ck upon s minus pk and directly get the hz form. So here you have, by transforming the individual term in the corresponding distal form, the hz expression of the final distal filter can be obtained, and after that, the last step will be combining all the terms together, and the hz will be the final form of the filter. In this second example, using impulse invariance with t equal to 1 second, determine hz. Again, you have to find out the distal response and transfer function in analog domain is given to you. So in this case, this equation is a complex, will give the complex root. So we may use the direct approach to solve it. Means first we will take the inverse Laplace transform of that, as it has been done here. After that, sample it for the given sample value, sampling time. Here time t is given as 1 second. So put that value in this, and after obtain hn, you can find out the distal form by taking the z transform of that. So any method you may obtain, which one will be which one is calculating the method of calculating fast, that method you may use. So in this step, in this question, design a third order Butterworth filter using impulse invariant technique. Assume periodic filter. Third order Butterworth filter is given to you from the specifications given in this. You have to give in a normalized Butterworth filter. From the table, you may find out the denominator polynomial. So HS is a normalized Butterworth filter of the third order. 1 divided by denominator polynomial. Here you may take the partial fraction of that in terms of single poles. After that, you may find out the corresponding coefficients, and this will be the form of normalized transfer function in terms of single poles, and using the transformation method in impulse invariant technique, you may obtain the expression of hz, and finally you may add all these terms to get the final form of the distal response. So in this fourth example, here you will see that you have to find hz. Again, the expression of analog filter is given to you. In this case, again, the inverse transformation, inverse Laplace transformation has been taken, the sampling has been done. So it's totally on you which approach you opt. And the approach you must opt, that must have minimum calculation involved. So in which way you will find is the way you find easier, you choose that particular method. So analog transfer function here, design the equivalent filter. So in this case, you have to design, but t is given 0.2 second. So you have to always be careful by putting the value. So here t is given 0.2 second. So you put it accordingly. So this is all about impulse invariant method. In the next video, we will learn about the bilinear transformation method. Thank you.